What's up, guys? So I'm Chris,
I'm Nick.
and this is I'd Popcorn for that. So brand new YouTube channel, and we're here to talk about Evil Dead Rise, which just came out 2023, directed by Lee Cronin, and it's starring Lily Sullivan and Alista Sutherland or Alista Sutherland. So we just saw it, and we haven't talked about how we feel about it yet. So what did you generally think about that movie just now?
I thought it was pretty good. I went into it thinking I was gonna be like pretty scared about a lot of the stuff. I came out thinking it wasn't very scary at all. There might have been a
Mhm.
couple of moments, but even though it wasn't scary, I thought I really liked it for what it was. And
Yeah, so I'm about the same. Like, I don't know if I'm just like desensitized to
yeah,
horror or whatever, but it just didn't. I didn't feel like deeply creeped out or terrified or anything like that. But it was like the whole time. I can't point to a lot of things it was doing wrong per se. It's just like
no,
it didn't scare me in a way that a movie like, just to throw out an example, like Hereditary or um maybe The Witch or something like that. Like some of these like cut a little deeper in, and this
yeah,
was like kind of mostly visual.
yeah. It was less psychological and more just visual horror, which I'm fine with. They did it really well. The only times that I actually like was scared a little bit were just jump scare moments, which they're gonna get you in any type of horror movie with those.
And I actually got to give them props for not doing a whole lot of that. Like for a modern
Yes.
horror movie, it was not a ton of that.
Yeah, I
Um,
was happy because I was worried going into it how they're saying it's the scariest film and like it was just gonna be a bunch of jump scares, but I really can only remember I think maybe two.
Maybe two, yeah. And I think one was like a false one, so not
Yeah,
not a ton of those.
yeah,
Um, and also like, and we'll get into pro and cons at the end, I think, but like, just I appreciate the amount of practical effects as opposed to
yes.
it was CGI too, but
It felt
but
like a
so
lot of practical effects.
I think let's just get into spoilers. So everything from here on out, spoiler warning. You should watch the movie. I think we both are at least recommending that you see the movie, and it's
Yeah,
probably better in a theater than not.
yeah.
So
If you're a horror fan, definitely check it out.
so turn them. So pause this and go watch it. So basically the most basic plot line. There's an opening that you don't really know how it's linked to anything, but like a cold open. I don't know if you want to talk a little about that the
Well,
opening.
I really liked like it was very reminiscent in the beginning where like it's the camera flying through the trees and stuff, kind of like from the original Evil Dead's, which I never saw the remake of Evil Dead start to finish, so
The
I'm sure,
2013,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure they did that in that as well. But I really liked how it started off with that, like the
I think that's
classic
Fede
movie kind of.
Alvarez, by the way, the 2013 one, Fede Alvarez, and I saw
Oh,
it in
okay.
theaters and really liked that a lot. And I think this had kind of more to do with that 2013 one than it did with like the original three. I
Yeah,
think it's just Evil Dead, Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, or The Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. So out of those are all like real campy, and the 2013 one really went into like gore and horror and dark and didn't. I don't think there was a single joke in the 2013 one, and there really wasn't a lot. I mean, I don't know what you would say, but
yeah.
I don't think there
I
was a
don't
lot of
think
joke
they're.
in here.
No, I think I went into it thinking maybe this one will have a little bit more of the comedy element to it from the original movies, but
It did not.
not at all. I don't think it was just straight gore, body horror type
So,
movie.
but so the opening though, I thought it was at least that title card reveal was great.
Yeah, so like
Like for her rising out of the
yeah,
you can talk about that at the beginning.
yeah, I guess like when it officially like movie, you get the title sequence, some stuff happens, some crazy stuff, and then the girl's rising out of the water from being possessed by a spirit, and as she's rising, like the title credits of Evil Dead Rise are just rising behind her. I thought that was a
That was a
really cool shot.
that was a really really dope title card reveal for sure.
Yeah,
But but so then you don't know what that has to do with anything, and it cuts to
one day
uh
before, I
one
think.
day before that, and and so we've got a sister who is coming to. I can't remember who they show first, but there's a sister that's like a guitar tech
Yeah,
for a band, and she's been like traveling with her band, and
she's like in the
um,
bathroom taking a pregnancy test to start.
yeah, she just found out she's pregnant and she's not happy about it, and so
Yeah,
she's gonna. So she goes to visit her sister, and then we meet. the sister and the sister's family and everything. So the sister's like kind of living in like a pretty rundown. I mean, compared to Beau is Afraid, a really nice apartment, but
Yeah.
a pretty rundown apartment, and it's like about to be condemned. We find out.
I thought the apartment looked really nice for something that was about to be condemned, but you
Maybe
know,
it's not rundown, but it's like it's
like
almost
the
like as soon as you
buildings are
walk
run down, like stuff probably not working, like circuitry and all that.
right, and like it feels like everything is like lit for a horror movie
Yeah.
right out the gate. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing's brightly lit. Like it's already like prime horror movie apartment. But but she visits her sister, and I feel and we meet like the kids. There's like a teen daughter, a teen maybe 19, like I guess an older son, and then
Yeah, I wouldn't even say
a
19.
little
I would say like 16 or 17.
old
They look
for
pretty
sure old enough
young.
to drive. He's the only
Yeah.
one we see drive, and then the little girl is like 8 or
Yeah.
7 or something like that. And and so we meet all them, and the mother is a tattoo artist, and like the beginning she's like doing some tattoo work or whatever.
She's like dyeing her hair while fixing her tattoo gun,
Right,
which
that's what it
I
is.
I didn't know who the actors were in this movie, and I kept looking at her like, is that Jessica Biel? Like she looked a
Not
lot
yeah,
like her.
they're not in a lot, these two. It's two Australian actresses, the
Okay.
both sisters. But they're not in a lot other than this. I don't think I recognize them from anything. And by
No.
the way, just to backtrack a little bit, like it was directed by Lee Cronin, and I don't know the guy from anything.
Yeah.
So it was like the executive production is um uh I'm drawing a blank. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell.
Mm.
But the direction, I think there's something called like the Hole in the Ground that he did, and I've heard of that, but I haven't seen that. So, and he doesn't have a long list
Is
of
it
like
The Hole in the Ground or John in the Hole?
it's the Hole in the Ground, I
Okay, so
believe.
I haven't seen that one.
But but anyway, yeah. So she's dyeing her hair and everything, and then she's
Sister
like
shows up.
startled. Yeah, sister shows up and she's startled by it, and you pretty early on, like they're having dinner, and you find out like there's a they haven't been communicating, and she kind of like jokingly teases her and calls her a groupie, but it's like you can tell she like doesn't like being called a groupie.
Yeah.
uh but anyway, so it's almost like, oh yeah, you showed up out of nowhere and I needed you back when. She gives gifts to everybody from when she was on the road, and she gives these gifts to the kids, and then she gives the gifts to the mom, and then she has a gift for the dad, and we haven't seen the dad, and it's like, oh, she doesn't know. And for some reason, I thought it was a little weird that she asked the kids to leave, like, oh, you guys should leave. I don't want you to know about how your father's
Yeah,
not here.
but he's been gone for like 2.5 months at this point, so
Yeah, like
they
he's not
definitely
around. It's not a secret,
it
but
had to
I guess
just be
she just
part of the
doesn't want to.
plot.
Well, and I guess maybe she didn't want to go into the details of why they're separated, which we don't really get the details of why
Yeah,
they're separated. Like we just get anyway. Yeah, so she sends the kids importantly
to
to
go
go
get
get
pizza
pizza,
for everybody. Yeah,
and I thought that was a little because they're in L.A. So like it's a
yeah.
little crazy to send these little tots out there in the world in LA at night to get some pizza, but whatever. Had to happen. But
I mean, it's a little grungy area, but I feel like the whole family's a little grunge too, or punk or something.
yeah, yeah. And but anyway, so they're out getting pizza, and she's telling the sister that like, yeah, he left however many months ago, and he considers child support a long-term relationship or something like that, and so he's not even paying child support. I don't know how he's getting away with that, but he's not paying child support. He's just out of the picture. And not only that, but she tells her sister that the building is going to get condemned and they have to leave pretty soon. I'm not sure they say how soon, but it's like
I
at
think
one
it's
point she's like,
in
yeah,
the
you
next
probably ought
month.
to. Yeah, she's like, we got to pack, so you can only stay here for a little while, whatever. And she says, why didn't you call me? I would have come. And she says, I called you twice and left this voicemail. And so that's a whole thing. And but so you should talk about what happens when the kids
So yeah, I guess
they
we need to
they
go
don't just
back
get
a little.
pizza.
Yeah, we need to go back a little bit too, because we kind of skipped over it. Like when it first introduces the family, there's like loud music coming from the son's bedroom, and you see that he's like DJing, making some music and stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's part of it. And then they leave, and then as they're coming back to get pizza, there's like a little foreshadowing of like you can tell this is going to be a little important later in the
Oh,
movie.
you just made me think of something too. There's that scene where like the little girl. The little girl's like kind of quirky, and she's got this like
Oh
doll
yeah,
head that
yeah.
she cut off a baby doll and put it on the end of like a broomstick. And at one point, she's like harassing her older siblings with it, and they like tackle her and tickle her and whatever. But somewhere along the way, like it's all pretty played for like laughs and not. It's not heavy. Like they don't. All these kids are like good kids. Nobody's like being a little jerk kid all the time and
Yeah.
disrespecting their parents or whatever. But they like tackle her and somehow the broom handle gets broken. So now she's got this, what's it called, staffarella or something like
Stephanie.
that. Staffany.
Yeah.
Yeah, she calls that the broom handle with the doll head Staffany. But now Staffany's a broken broom handle and
It's
she's
like a
still carrying around.
spear basically.
So anyway, but what was the thing you were
So
thinking
like
of?
there's more because that's a little bit of a foreshadowing event. Like I feel like everything that they foreshadowed, you're like, oh, I can tell this is gonna play something at some point, pretty important.
For the most part, yeah.
And it's like they're getting back to their underground parking, and it's got like a gate, and they have a little button to press to open it, and it's like it's not working, opens. It's like okay,
That's for sure gonna, yeah.
and then they go in and park, and then I think an earthquake starts happening, and it's going through the upstairs, and it's kind of showing the mom and the sister experiencing that, and then it shows the
Their
kids
name, by the way,
experiencing
their
it.
names are Beth is the sister that comes to visit,
And
and
Ellie is the
Ellie
mother, yeah.
is the mother. Yeah, and they're like having like a heartfelt conversation about like what something about
I think,
they have an odd relationship, and while
yeah.
the earthquake happens, they're like having a conversation.
Yo, I think Beth is listening to the voicemail from her sister for the first time about the husband leaving
Mm.
her, and it's real vague. She's not really
hmm
getting into it, but then that starts happening, and then I think it goes back to the kids, and like there's like cracks going through the ground in the underground parking lot. There's a
Yeah, they're like walking. They're walking. They're not in the car anymore. They're like
yeah.
walking back with the pizzas. Yeah.
They drop the pizza and the drinks, and there's a wood chipper in the background where the flap falls down from the earthquake, and uh,
Yeah, that's some foreshadowing too.
for
Yeah.
sure. And then they're like it stops, and they're I think the son notices, hey, there's a hole in the ground over here. Which if I'm a kid, I'm not going near that fucking hole.
Man, and if you're in LA, like there's gonna be aftershocks. Like I was just thinking,
Yeah.
like that's the worst thing you could ever do is crawl into this space that could like cave in on you and close in, trap you in there. But he, I guess he's just this crazy like gung ho kid, and they're yelling at him to stop, and he's just straight up ignoring them, and it's kind of like, it didn't really bother me about the movie, but if I was going to be really nitpicky, it's like it happens so fast because he jumps down in there it's like you see like the front of a vault, like a bank vault.
It's actually the back of a vault, so he's like inside of the vault.
Yeah.
Because I guess the building
Uh,
used to be an old bank vault, or not bank vault, but an actual bank.
and there's like this spooky, like warning, do not touch looking shrine in there, just surrounded. I don't. It's not obvious if it's like I was thinking there was gonna be a body in there or something, but
I
there's
do
like
too,
the
yeah.
shrine surrounded by like cross necklaces hanging, 1,000 crosses. It just looks like somebody's trying to trap a demon or keep something. And crazy that it's in a bank vault. That.
And there's like a giant crucifix with Jesus attached to it. That's
Oh,
kind
and
of
that falls down in a moment that is kind of one of the jump scares. It's
yeah,
not very effective.
that's the only one. That's the only one that I think got me actually. But
Oh well, I mean, it was like early in the movie where nothing really, crazy's happened yet. And it was, by the way, I will say, like, at a point I was even though this movie is not long, I was kind of feeling like this is a little slow in the beginning. But it doesn't stay that way. But I was just like, but, uh, but
no,
yeah, he finds that like shrine, and I guess was it busted open or does it bust open like while he's down
no,
there?
I think there was a hole in it that busted open probably from the earthquake, and he like looks in there and finds a book
The
wrapped in some old cloth. A
Yeah, it's a
familiar
book that happens to be the Naturum de Monto,
Yeah,
I guess,
the Book
Book
of
of
the
the
Dead.
Dead.
Is that what it's called in
And
the other ones? I know they call it the Necronomicon, but
yeah, I guess that's, yeah. I'm not sure actually offhand. I remember Necronomicon better than that,
yeah,
but so he gets that book and he's just flipping through stuff. It's almost like he's just on a mission to find like the craziest looking stuff that might destroy your life and like haunt your like dreams and
yeah. 'Cause he
life
finds like
forever.
another security deposit box thing that he opens up, and he sees like the first thing he sees is a bunch of papers, and there's like a picture of three priests on it, and then
And
the other
that's gonna
thing,
be
yeah, and the other thing he kind of sees that he decides to take with him are like three vinyl records, which
it's like
that's
phonograph records, I guess,
yeah. Well, I think they were
or
vinyls
whatever.
because he played them on his
Yeah,
stereo
yeah.
equipment. Well, I guess phonograph vinyls kind of.
But they're like from the 20s or something.
Yeah, so I guess
And then
yeah.
I don't remember if I guess the kids just come back and the pizzas are which the pizzas weren't ruined.
No, they
Whatever.
yeah they could have
They
taken
abandoned
them.
the pizzas.
They could have taken
The girl was snacking on the pizza.
them. Yeah,
All it's been is like some pieces are flipped over and stuck to the lid.
they were fine.
If you're broke, you're gonna anyway. You would think you'd save that pizza, but so they go back home and they say, uh, we lost the pizza, and the mom's glad to see them. She's wondering where they were and everything.
I actually was about to
And
rush down to go try to find them, and they came up the elevator, which was funny because she looked like she was gonna use the elevator to go find them, and as it opens, she's like, "Don't you know you shouldn't use an elevator after an earthquake?" And it's like,
yeah, well, so I was gonna say, so you might have to help me here because I don't remember. So he gets the book and everything, and at some point he flips through the book and all that happens, but in the records and all that. But at some point also, the mother is alone and ends up in the elevator alone. And I don't remember like the order of events there exactly,
yeah.
but
So it's like he takes the book into his bedroom.
maybe these are happening simultaneously.
I think it kind of is. Yeah, he's taking the book into his bedroom to he's showing it to his sister and stuff, and he's got the records, and like the spine that's closing the book is like crazy gnarly looking
Super sharp
fangs.
teeth.
And I think what happened to get the mom going downstairs is the daughter's like, I need some laundry to be done, and the mom's taking laundry
Hmm.
down the elevator, and so he like touches the book, he's trying to open it, the fang cuts his finger, little blood drops on the book, of course.
And absorbs in immediately.
Teeth start
And,
opening up, and they start flipping through the pages, and I think as that happening is the mom's going down to do the laundry, and his sister's like, don't mess with this looks too creepy, and he's like, all right, okay, I'll put it away, and then she leaves his room, and then he starts listening to the records, which I thought he started with three, but maybe he had to have started with one for the
I don't know what
description.
record he starts with. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it had to have been the first one. It looked like it said three, but they were kind of hard to read.
Yeah, and it's just like a priest announcing that they found this book and they want like funding, I guess, or the support of
Well,
the
yeah,
clergy,
to
because it's
research
like they're
it.
giving like a speech to like a bunch of clergymen,
Yeah,
and they're asking for like approval to do more research, or not
they
just do more research. I guess they're asking to
they can
some like
even.
somehow they think it's a good idea to summon this
Well, I
demon
think
to.
they want to translate the pages and the glyphs and stuff in it, and everybody was like, "Nah, it's an affront to God. That thing's like bound in human skin and written in blood."
And I didn't see a single word written in it in any language or
There
writing or
was
anything.
there was some. It was like behind the pictures, like in the
Okay.
background
I
of the
thought it was,
pages.
to me, it just looked like a lot of like creepy images and not anything decipherable or
Yeah,
translatable, but it must have just been a little bit here and there. But so while the record, and he's playing the record like manually, right?
yeah. Like the
Or
speed was all weird, so he set the speed to something, and he's like moving it with his finger to get it to play properly.
he does eventually let go, I think. But I think
Well,
he
yeah,
like flips. I think he eventually like flips over to the other side, and then that's when the priest starts
the translation of
actually
what they actually
actually
translated.
translating, and it's this, it's obviously a thing to summon a demon, and as
I think some
in it,
aftershock starts happening, aftershock, but it's really demons.
and then very much in the vein of previous, this is a very much a throwback to previous Evil Dead. uh as this demon's being summoned through these speakers, you see like a shot, it's like the demon eye view
Hmm.
of this thing rushing toward the building, rushing toward the house, like it, I think it's that they do that on every Evil Dead movie,
I
so
think
that's
so.
definitely an homage to that. And then at some point, like the speakers don't sound normal anymore.
Oh
There's
no.
obviously like a supernatural element, like adding umph to these speakers and sub bass and everything. It sounds crazy, and then uh,
I think
he
he
decides like
goes
this
to
is
yeah he goes to try to turn it off. He's hitting stop, stop, stop. It won't stop. He goes to like lift the needle off, and it just
like shocks
electrocutes
him,
his hand a little bit. Yeah.
and then and so now it can't be stopped, and this whole thing gets announced, and when it does, the victim, his mom is on the elevator by herself, and she gets hit uh, with a deadite, I guess. I don't think they ever say, I don't recall them
Yeah,
saying the word deadite,
but I mean, if
which she
that's
gets.
the lore for it, then that's what it would be,
So
a
she gets
demon.
possessed, and then now we just see, so the kids are at the house. I think the sound has stopped, and you just see her like walking up,
She's still going up the
obviously.
elevator when it happens, and then like she
Hmm.
starts hearing stuff, and there's the
And the
shot like
elevator's
close
like
up.
choking her and like hanging her
Yeah,
from the ceiling and everything.
it like slams her around a bit and like contorts her body and like it's kind of like the vine scene from the 2013 or the original Evil Dead where it's like grabbing them all over. It just grabs her all over and twists her arms and legs and around her
And
neck
that
and
was
it
a
just
good. I think that was a good scene for her to show some acting chops because like you can feel like the helplessness of that moment and
mhm.
like just feeling completely out of control and in awe of what's like it. You know, if you imagine like if this was real life and this kind of thing is happening, like an invisible force is like is hanging you from the ceiling of an elevator and just like beating you up invisibly and so I think she did. I think she was probably the best actor in the whole movie. By the
Yeah,
way,
I mean, yeah, that would
the mother.
I would agree because it takes a lot to become that possessed person, like the body movements you have to do to contort yourself and just like changing your persona completely.
Yeah, and even within even possessed her has kind of more than one persona that she uses.
Yeah.
So, but so now she's walking back into the house looking all possessed, and you don't really see her face, and she just comes in and won't talk to anybody, and she um, gets eggs out of the refrigerator and just starts dropping eggs all strangely into the skillet with the flame on high, and she's like burning all these eggs and shells are everywhere and everything,
It I
and she
couldn't
says something.
tell I couldn't tell like when she was throwing them in there was a bunch of blood in the pan too and I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be like busting in from the eggs or if it was coming from her because I don't think she was
I
moving a
guess
lot at that point.
yeah, I'm not sure about that one, but so she says something real creepy, like about how like
Oh,
I just hope you guys. What does she say? Like I just
sh
want to
I,
swallow
sh
you guys up so you can live with me for or
I think she
something.
said she was like I had the most wonderful dream. We were in a forest having a picnic. We were all together and I just wanted to cut you all open and crawl inside of you so we could be together forever. I was like, "Oh
And I think that's
Jesus."
the last thing she says before like all hell breaks loose. And
Yeah, I think she goes back to normal for a split second after that and she was like, "It's inside of me. Don't let it get the children."
yeah, she warns her sister like, do not let it get the children. Like it's over for me. And then she changes back and like hunches over back. You know, her back's doing. It's kind of like I don't want to say stereotypical, but like it felt like we've seen this moment in a lot of movies before, where somebody's like being taken over and they hunch their back over and the spine contorts and
Mhm.
everything, and then she just pukes like gallons and gallons and buckets of some kind of substance.
It kind of reminded me of the that scene in Possession when she's in the subway and pukes up all the white stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was reminiscent of that for sure. And so what is like what's the next thing that happens after that?
I think like
She
she's just like they take her to the bedroom and like she's dead.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, no. She's it's over. She's dead, and they kind of like do a little. They like tuck her into the bed, and it's like they're trying to cope with this.
Yeah, they get
And
the neighbor to come over, or both neighbors, I think.
I didn't think that was. I'm not sure that was handled the best way. It didn't really feel like everybody was just grieving the loss of their mother slash sister. Like it felt a little bit like everybody's just roughly the same amount of upset they were earlier, and we're still upset, and people are crying and stuff. But like I just didn't get a lot of the gravity of that situation. She's dead.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know.
it
Maybe it
happened
was just like
suddenly. The
everybody
puking and
was
everything.
confused about what happened or something. They're just so in shock and confused, like what the fuck just even happened?
Yeah, I just feel like the emotion in this movie in general was a little bit not there.
Yeah,
Like just
everybody.
the nobody was doing a bad job. Even the direction, I'm not sure what it was, but it just didn't quite hit the nail. And I feel like you could with this family dynamic where you're like having to face situations where somebody's not themselves anymore, they're not your loved one anymore, and you're having to decide like, do I fight this person off even though they look just like. There was a lot of opportunity, I think, to inject a little bit more like family dynamic and some heartbreak and some more of that in there.
I agree with
But
that.
it's not that, it is an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah,
So
it's
you have
true.
to like temper, you know.
Because after that, it's basically just fucking gore till the end of the movie.
And it is very much not an Evil Dead movie in in the sense that like there's homages and there are deadites and everything, but it's not, and we're a very different landscape. Like it's not in a cabin in the woods or anything. It's not. It doesn't really link back to any other. Uh, it has similarities, and there was like a. So yeah, I got. Well, I guess we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this part, but there's a lot of everything from then on is full blown crazy because the mom is not dead, which is obvious,
Yep.
and you see like the fly land on her eyeball, and you know what's gonna happen there. Like she's alive, and
Sits
and
up
she's
in
just trying
bed
to
and just
terrorize this
yeah.
family. and there's like no way out. The stairs are completely
Elevators fucked
collapsed.
from the
Elevate. Well, I guess the
aftershock.
elevator's still functional, but it's
Well,
like not in good shape at all, and it has had a haunting like possession event happen in it. So
yeah, because it gets all destroyed from whenever she comes up and she's getting all strangled in it. Like there's wires hanging. I mean, it might have been working, it might not have been, but
well, it does end up working later. Remember, they use it.
kind of.
I mean, it's yeah, right. But it anyway, it isn't. But they don't think of that as the first option for a lot of reasons that are good reasons. But
Yeah, they're trying to get her.
the stairs are shot. I think the fire escape is something's wrong with that
The
too.
fire escape's like through an abandoned, one of the abandoned apartments, and it's all like completely boarded up with like steel bars and stuff, so they can't get through it. And they try to, but there's no way to get through it.
And they end up like hiding it. Well, so when they're before she's dead, they're with the neighbors. And the neighbor characters, I don't feel like we got to know them. But there's this one little scene where like he's like, "Can I pray for her?" And she's like, "No, she's not religious, so you don't have to." He's like, "Come on, I'm gonna pray for her." Like, I don't care what you say. And he just prays for her anyway. And I think like it doesn't do anything as
No,
far. It's not
nothing
like
happens.
it. No, I don't think Deadites are like. I don't think you get. I don't think you get the holy water out for these guys. Like it's
No.
it's over. You see one of these and it's a bad time going forward. So
So like basically after that, I think she wakes up after being dead, and she's sitting straight up, and the sister's like she's burning up. So they take her to the tub, put her in the water. She's just like writhing and flailing around in the water, and then
there's that scene from the trailer. She
yeah,
like levitates out of and she's like
on the
latched onto the
ceiling,
ceiling.
and the water's
And
like she just starts screaming, and everything's like breaking in the room, and they're covering their ears, and the water's boiling.
yeah, and she collapses back into the water after that big long scream, and then she just basically says your mom's. She says that like line that is. I keep saying that. I've seen 1,000 lines and times in the trailer. That's like, "Mommy's with the maggots now."
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Uh, and uh, and so anyway, there's a chaos ensues, and they end up like locking her outside of the. Somehow they successfully lock her outside of the apartment, and so I thought this was a cool like cinematography trick, but like a lot of the movie for a while is shot through the like peephole.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I thought that was pretty cool.
And
There's a little bit of blood on it.
one of the like standout gore moments is her attacking the neighbor and like biting his eyeball out of his head.
Yeah, so before that happens though, she's attacking the family. I think she stabs the sister through the hand with a piece of glass, and then the eldest daughter like gets her off, hits her with a chair or something, and then she attacks the eldest daughter with the
With the tattoo gun.
tattoo. She sticks it in her own face first, and then stabs the daughter in the face with it, and then the son.
Oh, I didn't notice the
hits him with
stab
a
your own
chair.
self in the face first part. So that
Yeah,
makes sense
that's
why she got like infected.
yeah, that's kind of what I was taking it from. Like that's why they did it. Is like she got infected with the blood, which is weird because like I guess
There's so
yeah,
much
that's
blood
just
later,
blood.
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then she's outside, and like the neighbors come out, and she fucking jumps on him and bites him right on the eyeball.
Yeah, like eats his eyeball out of its socket and then spits it into the other neighbor's. I guess it's his father or whatever's mouth.
Yeah,
And he chokes.
Yeah, chokes on the
And he
eyeball.
chokes to death on that, which I found out is I don't remember, I don't think I've seen Evil Dead 2. I think I've only seen the first one in Army of Darkness, but apparently that's that's something that directly happens in Evil Dead 2. It's just like a different scenario, but somebody
Yeah.
bites an eyeball out, spits it in somebody else's mouth, they choke on it because it felt a little out of place. Like it felt like it was trying to be campy in a movie that hasn't been campy 1 ounce previously. So
I mean, there were definitely a lot of nods to the other movies, so I guess that was just one of them. And another funny, like I guess a fun fact about that scene is when she's biting the eyeball out. The sound effect that was used for that, Bruce Campbell helped do some of the sound effects, and it was
I
just
heard
him,
that,
like,
yeah,
viciously
him
eating an
an
apple.
Yeah, eating an
Yeah.
apple ferociously.
Yeah.
So I forgot to mention it, but there was one of the Bruce Campbell cameo, which is whenever the record is playing.
Mm-hmm.
There's like he's talking about the Book of the Dead and everything, and there's like one of the parishioners in the crowd is like yells like, "It's called the Book of the Dead for a reason," and that's
Bruce
Bruce
Campbell.
Campbell cameo.
Okay.
But yeah, so you see her just complete carnage out in the hall. Like there's literally like blood on the peephole, like
Mm-hmm.
and she's at some point everything's kind of calmed down inside the house because she's locked out and they're trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
and she's just singing or humming something in the hall, some like lullaby type song or whatever, and you see the little girl, the youngest daughter, is the only one looking out the people, and the mother's turned around just crisscross applesauce on the floor looking away from them. Seems like she's reserved herself to, I'm not going to make it into the house again. And I can't remember what happens to like alert her
Oh, I think
that
she
she's being
just. I think
watched.
she just knows. I mean, she knows the little girls because she starts talking to her with her back turned to her.
Yeah, so she tries to just like trick the little girl into like, you know, she's like, "Mommy, you don't look so good," and she's like, "Nothing a big hug from you couldn't fix," you know.
Yeah, and then when she
And it's all
stands
very,
up, she like levitates to her feet.
yeah, and everything. I mean, obviously to anyone else this is obvious, but like a little girl, like she's using her like mommy voice and everything, and there's one point I can't remember exactly what she says, but she's like, "Good old mom and dad,"
Yeah.
and that, for some reason that made me laugh, like the mom and
Oh,
dad
I
part.
think
But
that's how she's trying to like convince her to open the door. She's like, "Dad's here too. He's come back and he loves us again, and we can all be a family."
yeah, come here and give mommy and dad a hug.
Yeah.
And so the little girl unlocks the door, but the other latch is still latched, so she can only reach her arm in. There's like a close call there, and and then at some point we see the girl, the older girl, Gabby, I think, or something,
Uh,
is
yeah.
uh is like up on the counter, and the aunt finds her, and she's up on the counter, and she's eating a wine glass, just
Mm.
chewing on this wine glass. Oh, and this is after, so you find out that she is possessed from the,
Yeah, because
like, this is starting to be a problem.
it goes into the aunt is the older brother that has the book is showing the aunt the book, and then she's like, "Well, I need to listen to this record myself,"
And
and
she listens to one we haven't heard yet,
yeah, basically it's the priest saying like, if the demons came out, I couldn't do
and there's no
anything.
it.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
there's
we
no
can
way to
do.
stop this. Like
I
everybody's possessed now, and you have dismemberment didn't work. Like, I don't know, you just run. It's all bets are off. You're not gonna make it out of this. And I think it kind of ends with him like, I think he's dead. Like, I
no,
don't
I
think
yeah,
anybody made it out of this. And so
and I don't think
she
did the aunt see the sister, or was it the brother that walks in when she's chewing the wine glass? Because you see her throw up, like black stuff is pouring out of her nose and her eyes, and that's when you first see
and
like,
I
oh,
thought
she's
that was
possessed.
I thought that was a super effective, like, practical. It looks like a practical effect, but blood, or not blood, black liquid just starts pouring out of her eyes, nose, ears, everything. And if that was CGI, I can't think that. I don't think that was CGI.
I don't either,
It
because
looks
when
like
she wiped her
real.
mouth, it was still like smeared on there, and I was thinking that was like the ink from the tattoo gun.
So that worked out really well,
She throws up
and she like
black
pukes.
ichor too, with like maggots and stuff in it.
Yeah, it's like just writhing like worm parts or something like that, cockroaches, whatever else. And she's eating this glass, and she says like, "Yeah, I gotta get the bugs out of my tummy."
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it's almost camp. Like, I didn't think that was super great in that
No, but
moment.
I
Like,
mean,
I guess it was supposed to be really creepy, but it's kind of like, it was kind of funny. Like, I gotta get the broken glass to get the bugs out of my tummy.
and then but like when it's the broken glass is like going down her throat and like punches out a little bit, and it's like, oh man,
That
like
was
they do the things that make you like recoil a little bit really well.
the glass in the throat was like the one moment I think I cringed the most, except for maybe one other one that's like very
Yeah.
coming up very soon. But especially that glass thing where she swallows real hard, I was like,
Oh
ooh.
yeah.
That was tough. They did a good job with that for sure, and it looks like convincing and everything. And then so she does the broken glass thing, and then she attacks her brother, right?
No, I think she attacks. Was it the brother?
At some point, yeah, at some point the brother gets attacked. I mean, because
No,
he gets like,
I think she attacks the aunt first because I think that's the next scene that happens. She like spits blood in her face, and then the aunt's like trying to crawl away, knocks a cheese grater away, and then this is the
mm,
other part that was like really hard to watch. As she grabs the possessed girl grabs the cheese grater and just slaps it on the aunt's leg that's exposed
and
and
and just rips
drags it
ribbons. But
across.
I thought it was going to be even more hardcore than that.
I did too.
But
I was
like once I saw, I knew what's about to happen basically. But I thought they could have even gone more into that, and I guess I'm glad they didn't, because that
I
was pretty
was.
effective too. But so I think those were like the two most effective, like, wince, like,
Yeah,
oof moments in the movie. Those the cheese grater in the glass and the throat. But
I think after that is when
uh
she chases the siblings because the aunt like runs to do something
right.
to try to get away, but she chases the siblings into the room, and that's where Stephanie comes back into the
Yeah, so she tries to attack her little. So the older daughter, who's now possessed, tries to attack the little sister, and uh, by accident, but she is trying to defend herself. The pointy end of Stephanie goes through the sister's head and out the back, and she pulls it out.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of.
she pulls it out, blood starts pouring out, and then she just kind of fucking falls to the
She
ground.
collapses after that, right?
You
Yeah,
think she's dead.
but I'm trying to think of how the son, because at some point the son, you know,
It's after that. So they wrap her up all dead, and maybe I guess the aunt hadn't listened to the thing yet. I think it happens after that to
okay.
the third disc because they
Because
wrap
at some
her
point
up.
he confesses to his aunt that
I
like,
think it
yeah, I
was I
found this
think it was
stuff.
after that scene because that's what it is. Because after that she goes and starts listening to it, and you see some stuff happening in the hallway again. Like the mom notices she can crawl through the vents, and
Oh, the
she
cat. Hearing the
yeah
cat in the vents is what makes her realize is the vents are a way that I can get in the house.
yeah.
And
And then so I
yeah,
think the brother's doing something, and the little sister they're like in back out in the living room because they left their dead sister in the bedroom, and she comes out as she's doing something as the aunt is listening to the third disc, and the mom crawls through like the bed into the bedroom through the ceiling while she's listening to that.
which is a pretty creepy moment.
Yeah,
Like seeing her crawling through the vent from on the ceiling in the background.
and it basically the older possessed sister wakes up at that point too, and it's like all hell is gonna break loose because they're both in the house now. And I think the older sister attacks the brother with a knife in the kitchen and stabs him in the arm.
By the yeah, so the stabbing in the arm of him, I thought was like really effective
Oh yeah.
practical
Oh yeah, because
effects, and then
he stabs her in the gut first when he's getting attacked, and she pins him
yeah,
down and like pulls it out, and then just it looked really crazy. Like it looked really good when she stabbed him in the
and
arm.
then
Yeah.
stabs him in the chest, and that's the fatal one. So he's dead. And now at some point,
And she throws blood up all over him too.
and
After
at some
this.
point, I mean, I might be skipping ahead, but it's not too long from now. Like everyone that's been possessed, like it's the only people normal anymore. And I think we're there. Like the only people
Yeah.
normal anymore are the sister Beth and the little girl, the littlest daughter, and they're going to escape, and the like the lobby or the outdoor area around the apartment is just full of all these possessed people, and they just start chanting "Dead by Dawn," which is certainly a reference to all the other
Yeah.
Evil Dead movies. They just chanting "Dead by Dawn," and then
So it
they
also
the
shows they make it into the elevator, right? I think is what
mhm.
happens next, and then but it also shows while they've been getting possessed, it's been showing different pictures in the book of like the type of possession or something. So they're in
Mhm.
the elevator and they're trying to get it to go down, and it's starting to fill up with blood. But while that's happening, like the mom and the two possessed kids merge into like one fucking body, which it kind of foreshadows in the
And I
book.
think that they sort of like they almost defeat the Ellie character, the mother character
Yeah.
possessed, because they're like blowing limbs off and everything. Like it seems like she's a goner, and then at the last minute, like the possessed, like I think they're on the elevator going up, and the possessed other two siblings
Hmm.
start like reaching their arms in there and everything, and they're like fusing together, and all the
Very.
while we're on the elevator, and the elevator's like it starts with like the buttons of the elevator are filling with blood, and then it starts pouring out of the walls of the elevator, and the whole thing just starts filling up with blood pretty rapidly, and then
And then
like
the
that's
merged beings are on top, and you can see them starting to reach through, and then it kind of shows like max 6 person. So with all this weight from the blood, the three
the
people and the two, like it fucking just falls.
it collapses, and then it busts open, and it's very clearly
The
an homage
Shining.
to The Shining for
Yeah.
sure. And so gallons of, yeah, by the way, I looked it up. It's like 1,700 gallons of blood, fake blood they used in the making of this movie.
Wow.
But I think most of it was right there in that elevator.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
there
there
was a
there was
lot of
other
it.
moments, but so now we meet, and I found out. I don't know if they said this in the movie, but I found out the monster that they all merge into, the mother and the two siblings, is called the Marauder.
Hmm.
So I don't know who decided that. Worth looking into, but it's called the Marauder. But so they're being like attacked, chased by this in the.
It's like a six-armed, three-headed being.
Yeah, it looks crazy. But not. all that scary to me for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know how to explain.
like we
Again,
said, none of it was scary really. It was just real visceral and gore and
it's gory and like gross, and it's a lot of things. But I wasn't scared. But that's okay. But they're being chased by this in the parking garage, and uh,
so
I'm
basically
trying to think. There's like some close calls, but
yeah, I mean
well,
because they get in the car and it's the same thing with the button not opening the gate, but then it starts to open and then she floors it to go, wheel stuck in a hole, the car can't move, and then that's when the Marauder comes around. They duck out the side of the car and they're basically like, which I thought was kind of silly too, because like this thing's right on the other side of the car and that she's like, shh, be quiet. It's
mhm.
3 feet away,
It's so close. Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
like running around. She's got a shotgun with her and like, but it
It
was
kind of didn't feel particular. Like once we're in the, this final boss battle situation, it kind of didn't
that's
feel
kind of what
like
it seemed like. It didn't seem like there was
soup.
any terror or
It
anything.
it didn't seem like super hard to get out of. Like I don't remember a lot of situations that were like close calls at the end. It almost just felt like once we meet the Marauder, like it's there for a bunch of creepiness and like some what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's ominous, and you're worried about if it's around the corner or whatever. But I don't remember there being like a moment where it felt like it's about to really get them. And somehow they ended up getting it near. Finally the wood chipper comes back into play, and they end up getting it.
Yeah, well, because
They end up getting the wood chipper on, and
the aunt and the daughter, or yeah, the aunt and the daughter run for the gate as it's closing. The aunt makes it through. Daughter gets pulled back through, and she tosses her like into
goes.
the back of where the wood chips go.
Mm-hmm.
Aunt kicks the gate down to get back in to try to get the niece or her niece, the daughter. Uh, and then I think we're basically towards the end of the movie, and where the climax of she's trying to fight the Marauder, and the Marauder turns on the wood chipper and starts trying to put her in there, and her niece
And
runs over, turns it off.
yeah, well, and then so when they do end up turning the wood chipper back on, it's like she like shoves a chainsaw into her possessed sister's head, and
Oh
all the
yeah,
other
yeah.
parts of her are getting like ripped away, and so the siblings are getting ripped into this grinder wood chipper,
Blood
and
going everywhere.
yeah, and this crazy chainsaw scene, and then at the like she pulls the chainsaw out, and it's just the possessed sister's head there, and she's saying like you're not never gonna be a good mother. Oh, we forgot about a scene. I'll go back to,
Yeah.
but she's like, you're never gonna be a good mother. You're gonna be just like our mother, blah blah blah, and that's like the last straw, and she kicks her sister's head into the wood chipper and it explodes, and there's just blood everywhere. And but the thing we forgot earlier was she's like she finds out. I guess she finds out that her sister's pregnant, or maybe just like the demon
Well, I think
knows
the
that her
demon
sister's
knows because
pregnant.
she's talking about taking all of their souls, and she's like sniffing down towards her stomach, and she's like, "Oh, 2 souls."
Yeah, and she's like gonna go for like ripping the baby out of her sister's belly, and then I can't remember which kid necessarily, but somebody comes up with a pair of scissors and like impales her through the nose,
Oh
and that's what
God, it was the little girl. She slid some scissors over to her, and that was fucking brutal. She just jabs these scissors up her fucking nose.
and it incapacitates her for a while. Like they get away for a while because of
Yeah,
that.
I think
So
getting
I don't
kind of
know,
brainstem damage, it like incapacitates him for a period of
for a
time.
period of
That's because
time.
that's how they kind of start to get down to the basement.
But so that's basically in the movie. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of chainsaw scenes. I think there were like a couple scenes where they're really trying to make you think like remember when
When
well,
Ash,
remember the chainsaw scene where Ash is covered in blood and blood.
well,
So
there's
I think that
the
was definitely an homage. The chainsaw in general was an homage.
and then there's that line whenever she's before the she has the chainsaw before she gets attacked by the Marauder, like jumping out. She's like, "Come get some," which is definitely like a
Yeah,
line
yeah.
he has said.
So I mean, that's basically it. You don't really know what happens next with anybody. That you just know that the little girl and the sister are alive, and everybody's. The priest was saying everybody's got to be completely dismemberment doesn't even work. They got to be just destroyed. And so as far as we can tell, it's all destroyed. But these are deadites, so we know it's not. That's not really. They don't really need a body even to
Yeah,
once the spell. Uh, so at the very end, we just see somebody walking out of that apartment complex, and we find out it's the girl from the beginning, and she's walking to go on her vacation and everything, and she's walks to the parking garage, and it's like I don't know, how did you sleep through all that? You live in that
well,
apartment complex, and you just don't you're not aware of
she was like
anything being
three 3 floors down from them, so I mean it kind of
Oh,
makes
was
sense.
she?
And she
Well,
even
and she.
makes a point to say like I the thunder was so loud last night.
Oh, I didn't catch that. So that
Okay.
might okay. That's how they write that up. But even still, she walks to her car in the parking garage, and it seems like it takes her a little while to notice that everything is completely painted with blood and like body parts and everything.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of silly too, because it's like as soon as you walked in there, if you didn't even see it, like she's on the phone distracted, you would smell like the iron in the air and be like, "Holy hell, it smells like blood."
But so she does realize it. I guess she doesn't make it all the way to her car because she's like in the parking lot, and you see the thing zoom toward her, and that's the last scene is she's getting possessed, and the next day is the day where she's going to kill her friend and her boyfriend at the cabin. So so that's the movie. Um,
A lot
you
of
have any like you
gore.
want to do like pros and cons kind of thing?
Yeah, we could. I mean, I think we kind of did it like while we were doing it. I feel like the silly moments were kind of the cons, but overall, like the gore and the practical effects were done really well, which I liked.
Actually, I would say for me, I can't really fault it for not being scary to me. Like maybe it's just we've just seen it. If you see something like Terrifier 2,
Yeah,
it's hard. But so I might just be desensitized to it a little bit. The only thing, the biggest con for me, and the one that mattered the most, I think, was that I just didn't really feel invested in any of those people all that much. Maybe the mother, who is like the main, because you just feel bad for her being like helpless in that moment. But once she's basically dead from then on, and we're just dealing with a demon puppeting her body around.
yeah. There's definitely no
So
attachment to any of the characters. It's
so
basically
like her
like,
acting was really good, but even the sister, there was a lot of opportunity there for a lot of emotion and everything, and I just didn't feel much for anyone. And the kids, again, I can't say anybody did a bad job, but like the kids, especially the older kids, actually, I just didn't feel a lot there. I didn't feel like they're experiencing their family being torn apart by demonic possession. It felt like they're concerned and nervous and crying and stuff, but there was something I can't put my finger on that wasn't quite there. It just didn't feel like enough. I
yeah,
need a little more in the storytelling.
it was like no connection to anybody there. It seemed like for sure. It was just, but I mean that might have been the point. It's like all these people are gonna die in a brutal fashion pretty soon after you meet them. So we'll give you a little bit of.
But there were enough pros that I think I would still recommend the heck out of it. I think the I like that we're going back in the direction of a lot more practical effects, and people are focusing on practical effects when they can do CGI, because it just doesn't. You could see when the CGI happened in this movie, and it's not as effective as they had to sometimes, but it's
Yeah.
not as effective as practical. I don't think, and I think it's visually cool enough, and like there's some, like we talked about, there's some wincing moments and stuff. It's good. It's just I was hoping for like a little. I was hoping for a little closer to great.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I expected that, but um, good's better than bad.
Yeah. Like I wasn't disappointed walking out of there. I was like, there are some really cool things that happened, but it was. Not gonna be having nightmares about that movie or anything.
But it's a tight hour and a half. I think you could do a lot worse.
Yeah.
There's a ton of worse horror movies than that. So, and I could see an Evil Dead movie in 2023 being terrible.
Me
Like,
too.
especially with a director that we don't know what we don't know his work yet. Especially we don't know his one other movie, but it's still only one other movie. So they're taking a chance on somebody. So it could have just really been terrible, and it definitely was not terrible at all.
Yeah.
So
It was
I would
great for
recommend
what
it.
it was. I would as well.
So we're trying out a new scale. So where would you put this on the scale? Do you remember what they all are?
Yeah, I'd probably put it right in the middle with some cornbread.
Yeah, I want to give it above middle,
Yeah.
but
It's like for
if
me,
if
it's
it's out
just
of
slightly
5,
above. Yeah.
like if it was out of 5, I would say three, a 2, I'd say a 3 instead of a. Yeah, no, there's 5, right? There's 5 options.
Yeah.
So the third one,
The cornbread.
cornbread. So yeah, I think above average. I like it.
Yeah, I'd recommend it if you're into.
All right, guys. So if you liked that, if you got anything out of that, it would really help us out a lot if you liked and subscribed. Tell people about this. And I think we should have a new video coming out sooner than later. That's going to be a review of Bo is Afraid. So we just got to edit that and put that together. But yeah, like and subscribe, and we'll have plenty of videos coming soon. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.